Okay, today I meet up with a friend who says we're going to a place called the Light Lounge for a comedy night. Okay, my hopes aren't high because the Light Lounge doesn't really strike me as a comedy venue, and certainly I was right. Okay, so we get there, and we get there late, but I'm angry, so I'm not going to even bother telling you. The lateness didn't bother me this time, because really I just primarily wanted to see my friend, which I did. Late, but I did it. So we then arrive at the Light Lounge, and it's just coming to the end of the first guy on stand-up. And it seems to be going alright. There's a lot of people. He comes to the end of his set, and applause, fantastic. Then there's a guy from Australia goes up, and it's not really clear whether or not if he's like filler or the compare or whatever, because he was really quiet, and he'd sort of ended those jokes in the way you see a lot on like Jongleurs or the Comedy Store, in that he'll tell a joke, and he'll sort of like get some applause, a smattering, and instead of sort of like ending it on a big high or whatever, or linking to the next bit of his set, he'll just go, anyway, so yeah, that's annoying. Anyway, I was going to it, and then I'll go on to the next joke. And it's like, well, just, if we're going to pay attention to you, for God's sake, come up with better linking material than that. Because just sort of, why you get smashing of applause it is, and then just sort of whine. It was as though the people that had turned up for the night hadn't realised that it was a comedy stand-up night today. Because the impression I got, there was a lot of people chatting amongst themselves anyway, even while the poor bastard was on stage. And even after him, there were more people who came. Some were better than the others, some actually, linked their gags from one to the next, making provision for the fact there might be not much laughter. There wasn't much laughter, they should have made provision. And it just felt a bit like, we don't usually do comedy and beers in Stoke. I expect it's very good somewhere else. There was that kind of an atmosphere. Obviously, even though Basingstoke's in the south, we all speak with a northern accent. No one seemed to get it. No one seemed to... they would think... I think they were just sort of content to stand and look in the same direction. And whatever poor bastard happened to be in front of them, we were generally content just to stare at. They might have been making jokes, we don't know. Perhaps if they were linked properly, we might have laughed. But I was quite content, I was happy. I mean, I was just standing there, fantastic, with a friend. She's met other people who we know, that's brilliant, marvellous. Say hello to them. Meets up with her roommate, her housemates, fantastic, great. Everything's going well. Although it does go on... there was one point where she said they had like breaks in between sort of the sets, as it were, which I think were more popular than the actual comedy sets that were on, because everyone seemed to get much more lively during them. Unfortunately, it's during these 5-minute breaks that everyone sort of rushes to the loo, and my friend says, right, could you look after my drink, which is fine, and make sure no one pinches my stuff? Understandable, I'm just going to the loo. That is the most deceptive phrase you can probably hear from a woman in a night. Just makes it sound as though she's just gonna pop to the loo. Just and pop, pretty much the same thing. Because you think, well, how long can they be? A pretty fucking long time, as it turns out. The 5-minute gap lasted a lot longer because people were enjoying it more. So I'd say about quarter of an hour. For quarter of an hour, she was in the loo. And I need the loo as well, I have a bladder, it needs to be relieved. I've only got 15 minutes. You can't do it while people are doing their comedy, because let's face it, they're suffering enough with their poor ass gags. Anyone going up on their own to the loo is just going to give them far more material than they could have prayed for in this car crash of a bloody comedy night. So I would have quite appreciated to go in this 10-minute gap to the loo. However, I can't. I'm looking around. I thought, well, perhaps, 10-minute gap, quarter of an hour, whatever. The ladies, there's going to be a bit of a queue. It's understandable that she's going to be a while. It's understandable. It's okay. When she finally gets back, it turns out she hasn't been queuing. She's been chatting. Now, I wouldn't usually have a problem with this, but, I've only got so long before, the comedy starts again. and my chance to relieve my bowels and my bladder is gone. Why is it that the cliche about women is true in a nightclub? Not even a nightclub, in sort of like a bar. A sociable place. Women socialise in the toilet part of the bar. What is this about them? Men don't go to have a chinwag in the gents. I mean, usually, 9 times out of 10, there'll be urine on the floor, a cigarette butt in the basin, and the one I went to tonight had a 5p piece in the toilet bowl. It's not the best place to catch up with your mates. I don't know what the ladies is like. I would imagine it's a little bit better, but roughly just as inappropriate to start having a chat. Oh.